The day I signed away my life, I was still high on painkillers. That's what they were counting on, I think. The papers trembled in my bandaged hands while my sister Presley's perfect French manicure tapped impatiently on the hospital bed rail. I'm Evangeline, and 6 weeks ago, I was the golden child of the Hopkins family. Now I'm just the broken one. Amazing how quickly things change when you wrap your car around a tree. It's just a formality, sweetheart, my father said, his voice carrying that familiar tone, the one that meant arguing would be pointless. With your head injury, we need to make sure someone can handle things while you recover. The fluorescent lights made everything too sharp, too bright. I squinted at the documents, but the words swam before my eyes. Power of attorney, medical decisions, financial control. My mother stood by the window, wringing her hands in that performative way she had perfected over years of country club drama. I don't understand, I mumbled. Why can't I just... Because you're not thinking clearly, Presley cut in, her smile tight. Remember yesterday? You couldn't even remember what day it was. That was the medication. Exactly our point, Dad said. This is temporary, just until you're better. Dr. Steele chose that moment to walk in, his dark eyes taking in the scene. Everything okay here? Family business, my father said curtly. Just getting some paperwork sorted. I watched Dr. Steele's expression shift slightly. He'd been my doctor since they brought me in, unconscious and bleeding. Something in his face made me pause, my pen hovering over the signature line. Perhaps we should wait until, he began. The sooner this is handled, the better, Presley interrupted. We need to start managing her affairs before things get complicated. My affairs. Like I was already dead. Sign it, Evie, Mom said softly. Let us help you. I signed. The pen felt wrong in my bandaged hand, and my signature looked like a child's scrawl. Presley snatched the papers before the ink was dry, her smile brilliant and sharp as broken glass. There, she said. Now you can focus on getting better. Dr. Steele made a note in my chart, his movements deliberate. I need to check her vitals. If you could give us a moment? They filed out, my mother's perfume lingering like a headache. As soon as the door clicked shut, Dr. Steele's professional demeanor softened. Evangeline, he said quietly. Are you sure about this? They're my family, I replied, but the words felt hollow. They want to help. He checked my pupils, his touch gentle. Your cognitive functions are improving rapidly. The confusion from the medication will clear up soon, a new voice interrupted. Presley stood in the doorway, her designer purse clutched like a shield. That's why we're handling things now. Doctor, if you're finished. He straightened, meeting her gaze. Of course. I'll be back to check on you later, Evangeline. After he left, Presley sat on the edge of my bed, taking my hand. Her grip was too tight. This is for the best, you know. You always were terrible with money. I started to protest. I'd built my own successful business after all, but she was already standing, smoothing her skirt. Get some rest. Mom and Dad are taking care of everything. That night, unable to sleep, I heard voices in the hallway. Presley's laugh, sharp and clear through the thin hospital walls. No, it's done. She signed everything. Yes, all of it. She won't be able to touch anything without our approval now. I know, right? Finally. My heart monitor beeped steadily as I stared at the ceiling, the fog in my mind clearing for the first time since the accident. In that moment, I understood something fundamental had shifted. This wasn't about love or protection or family taking care of their own. This was about control, about power, about my perfect sister finally getting everything she'd always wanted. I closed my eyes and forced my breathing to remain steady when she peeked in one last time. Let her think I was asleep. Let her think I was weak and confused and grateful for their help. Let them all think that. Because in that moment, lying in my hospital bed with my head throbbing and my body broken, I made a decision. They wanted to play games? Fine, I'd play. But they'd forgotten something crucial about me. Something I'd spent years hiding behind smiles and compliance. I always played to win. 2 weeks after signing those papers, I sat in Dr. Steele's office for my follow-up, watching him review my latest scans. The bruises had faded to ugly yellows and greens, but the real damage wasn't visible anymore. Your recovery is remarkable, he said, turning from the light board. Cognitive function tests are all showing significant improvement. Try telling that to my family, I adjusted my position, wincing. They've already started managing my life. Dr. Steele's expression darkened. What exactly does that mean? They're selling my condo, moving me back home. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. For my own good, apparently. Presley's already listed it. Without your permission? With my power of attorney, she doesn't need it. I pulled out my phone, showing him the listing. She even packed up some of my things already, said the stairs would be too dangerous. He leaned forward, hands clasped. Evangeline, I need to ask you something. That day with the papers, did you feel pressured to sign? Does it matter now? It matters more than you think. He opened his desk drawer, pulling out a business card. This is Sandra Martinez. She's an excellent lawyer who specializes in family law. A knock interrupted us. Presley walked in, perfectly coiffed as always. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was awful. How's our patient doing? I watched Dr. Steele's face shift to professional neutrality. Much better. In fact, I was just telling Evangeline that her recovery is exceeding expectations. That's wonderful. Presley's smile didn't reach her eyes. But we still need to be careful, don't we? No rushing things. Actually, Dr. Steele said, I think it's time we discuss reducing some medications and starting a more aggressive rehabilitation program. Presley's smile flickered. Oh, Dad and I were just talking about a long-term care facility that won't be necessary, he cut in. Evangeline's perfectly capable of independent living with minimal support. We're her family, Presley said sharply. We know what's best. I caught Dr. Steele's eye. Something passed between us, understanding maybe, or permission. Presley, I said softly, could you get me some water? My throat's dry. The moment she left, Dr. Steele moved quickly. He wrote something on his prescription pad, folding it carefully. This is important. Read it when you're alone. I slipped it into my pocket just as Presley returned with a paper cup. Here you go, sis. Now, about that care facility. Actually, I interrupted, making my voice weak and tired. Could we discuss this later? I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. Presley's face softened with satisfaction. Of course, sweetie. That's why you need us to handle things. That night, locked in my childhood bedroom, yes, they'd already moved me back home, I read Dr. Steele's note. Power of attorney can be revoked. Your medical records prove competency. Call this number tomorrow. Say you're asking about tennis lessons. They'll understand. I memorized the number, then flushed the note down the toilet. Through my window, I could see Presley's car in the driveway. She'd been here all day, helping organize my finances. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Tessa. They're selling your business equipment too? My hands shook as I typed back, meet me tomorrow, coffee shop on 5th, don't tell anyone. I heard footsteps approaching and quickly deleted the messages. My mother opened the door without knocking, carrying a tray of soup. How's my fragile girl? She cooed. Presley said you were tired earlier. I forced my face into a grateful smile. Yes, everything's just a lot right now. That's why you need to let us handle things. She stroked my hair like I was 5 years old. We're taking such good care of you. After she left, I lay in bed, listening to voices drift up from downstairs. My father's authoritative tone, my mother's soft murmurs, and Presley's sharp laugh. The business equipment alone will cover the care facility costs, Presley was saying. And once we sell the condo... I closed my eyes, letting tears slip down my cheeks. Let them see the tears if they checked on me again. Let them think they were tears of helplessness, of gratitude for their care. They didn't need to know they were tears of rage. Tomorrow, I'd start making calls. Tomorrow, I'd meet Tessa and set things in motion. Tomorrow, I'd begin dismantling their careful plans piece by piece. But tonight, I'd play the role they expected. The broken daughter, the grateful sister, the compliant patient. After all, the best revenge is the one they never see coming. The coffee shop on 5th was busy enough that no one noticed Tessa and me huddled in the corner booth. I'd told my mother I was going to physical therapy. Technically true, just not for another 2 hours. They what? Tessa's voice rose and I shushed her quickly. They're selling everything, I repeated, keeping my voice low. My business equipment, my condo, even my car, all for my own good. But that's theft, not with power of attorney. I sipped my coffee, grimacing. The family lawyer, Sterling, made sure the documents were airtight. Tessa's eyes narrowed. Sterling? The same Sterling who's been trying to buy into your father's company for years? That made me pause. What do you mean? Girl, do you not remember the Christmas party last year? Sterling cornered your dad, talking about some partnership deal. Your dad shut him down hard. The pieces clicked into place. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through old emails. There it was. Sterling had tried to invest in my business too, just months before the accident. That sneaky bastard, I muttered. He's using this to get what he wants. So what's the plan? Tessa leaned forward. Because you didn't drag me out here just to complain. I pulled out Dr. Steele's business card. First, I need a new medical power of attorney. Someone I trust completely. Tessa's eyes widened. Me? You're the only one they don't watch. I reached for her hand. Will you do it? In a heartbeat. She squeezed my fingers. What else? I need you to drive me to the bank, the one where they don't know my family. An hour later, we sat across from a bank manager named Marcus, his expression growing increasingly concerned as I explained my situation. Let me get this straight, he said. You want to open new accounts, transfer your assets, and lock down everything before they can access it? Exactly. I handed him my latest medical clearance from Dr. Steele. I'm legally competent to make these decisions. The power of attorney doesn't take effect until I'm incapacitated, I interrupted, which I'm not. Check the documents yourself. While Marcus made calls to verify everything, my phone buzzed. Presley, where are you? Her text read. Mom's worried. I typed back. PT running late. So tired. Want me to pick you up? No, Tessa's here, getting lunch after. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Okay, don't overdo it. Marcus returned with a stack of papers. Everything checks out. We can proceed, but you should know, once they realize what you've done. They'll be furious, I finished. I'm counting on it. By the time we left the bank, my assets were secured in new accounts only I could access. My business equipment was legally protected from sale, and I'd initiated a freeze on my property transactions. Next stop? Tessa asked as we got in her car. Law office. I checked the time. I have a meeting with Sandra Martinez. Sandra's office was nothing like Sterling's mahogany-paneled shrine to old money. She sat behind a simple desk, her reading glasses perched on her nose as she reviewed my documents. This is concerning, she said finally. The power of attorney your family had you sign, there are irregularities. What kind of irregularities? The witnessing signatures, for one. She pointed to a line. This was dated when you were still heavily medicated, yet the witness states you were of sound mind. Can we use that? We can use all of it. She started making notes. But you should know, this will get ugly. Family cases always do. They stopped being family the moment they tried to steal my life, I said quietly. My phone buzzed again. A message from Sterling. Your father asked me to review the condo sale contracts. Can you come by the office tomorrow? I showed Sandra the message. She smiled grimly. Perfect. Let him think everything's proceeding as planned. Meanwhile, A knock at her door interrupted us. Her secretary poked her head in. Ms. Martinez, there's a Gerald and Presley here insisting on seeing you. My blood ran cold. Sandra's expression hardened. Use the back door, she whispered. My assistant will show you out. Go home, act normal. I'll handle them. As Tessa drove me home, I could hear my father's voice booming through the building's halls. What do you mean you can't discuss it? I smiled, feeling something cold and satisfied settle in my chest. The game was changing and they didn't even know they were playing yet. Let them think they had all the pieces. Let them think they were in control. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Presley's welcome home party was exactly the kind of overblown spectacle she loved. Our parents' house was filled with familiar faces from the country club, all wearing sympathetic smiles as they watched me navigate the room with my cane, a prop I hadn't actually needed for weeks. Darling, my mother's friend Joanna air-kissed my cheeks. We're all so relieved you're letting your family take care of you. They're the best, I said, my voice honey-sweet. Behind her, I watched Presley holding court near the fireplace. And we've planned the most amazing surprise, Presley was saying to her audience, a family vacation to help with her recovery. The Swiss Alps have the most incredible rehabilitation facilities. I gripped my cane tighter, remembering the bank statements I'd seen on Dad's desk. They'd already made deposits for the trip, using my money, of course. Dr. Steele appeared at my elbow, a welcome sight in the sea of vultures. He'd been invited for appearance's sake, the caring doctor who'd helped save me. "How are you holding up?" he murmured. "Wonderfully." I gestured to the room with my free hand. "Nothing like a party to celebrate my incompetence." "Evangeline!" Presley's voice cut through the crowd. "Come here, sweetie. Everyone wants to hear about our plans." I made my way over slowly, playing up the limp. Presley wrapped an arm around my shoulders, her nails digging in slightly. "Tell them how excited you are about Switzerland," she prompted. "Oh yes," I said. "I can't wait to see how everything unfolds." Sterling, who'd been lurking near the drinks table, raised his glass. "To new beginnings." "And family loyalty," my father added pointedly. I watched Presley's face as everyone toasted. There it was, that flash of triumph she couldn't quite hide. The same look she'd had 20 years ago when she'd told our parents I'd broken Mom's favorite vase, when it had been her all along. "Remember when we were kids?" I said suddenly. "That summer in the Hamptons when you pushed me off the dock because I won the swimming competition?" Presley's grip tightened. "Don't be silly. You slipped." "Did I?" I turned to face her fully. "Just like I slipped during the school play when I got the lead role you wanted? Or how my college acceptance letter accidentally ended up in the shredder?" "Evangeline," my father warned, "you're getting overwrought." "No, I'm getting clarity." I pulled away from Presley's grip. Amazing how near-death experiences can sharpen your memory. The room had gone quiet. Presley's perfect smile was cracking at the edges. "Perhaps you should lie down," my mother suggested, her voice tight with anxiety. "The medication—" "I'm not on medication anymore," I announced. "Dr. Steele, would you like to share my latest cognitive assessment results?" He stepped forward, professional mask firmly in place. "Your recovery has been remarkable. All tests indicate full mental capacity." Sterling moved toward my father, whispering something urgent. Dad's face darkened. "This isn't the time or place," he growled. "No?" I turned to address the room. "When is the right time to discuss how my loving family had me sign over control of my life while I was drugged and injured? Or how they're selling my home and business without my consent? Or maybe we should talk about the vacation they're planning with my money?" "That's enough," Presley snapped. "You're embarrassing yourself." "Actually," Dr. Steele interjected, "she's quite lucid and legally competent to make her own decisions." The silence that followed was deafening. I could see the wheels turning in everyone's minds, reassessing everything they'd been told about my condition. Joanna was the first to make her excuses and leave. Others followed quickly, the party dissolving into awkward murmurs and hasty goodbyes. When the last guest had gone, my father rounded on me. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" "Protecting myself." I dropped the cane, standing straight. "Something I should have done years ago." "We're trying to help you." Presley's voice rose hysterically. "No, you're trying to control me. There's a difference." I headed for the door, where Tessa was waiting with my coat. "Oh, and about that Swiss vacation, good luck getting a refund on those deposits. The accounts you used have been frozen." "You can't do this," my mother whispered. "I already have." I paused in the doorway. "By the way, Sterling, how's that partnership deal with Dad coming along? The one you thought you'd get by helping him steal my business?" Sterling's face went pale. My father's head snapped toward him. "What partnership deal?" I left them to their chaos, Tessa supporting me as we walked to her car. Behind us, I could hear the shouting begin. "You okay?" Tessa asked quietly. "Better than okay." I smiled as we drove away. "I'm just getting started." The bank manager's face was priceless when Presley stormed in, waving the power of attorney papers like a weapon. I watched from the coffee shop across the street, sipping my latte while Tessa recorded everything on her phone. "I'm sorry, ma'am," Marcus said loud enough for his colleagues to hear, "but I can't discuss another client's accounts with you." "I have power of attorney?" Presley's voice carried through the glass. "I demand access to my sister's accounts immediately." "That document has been legally challenged," Marcus replied calmly. "Until the matter is resolved in court, we cannot—" "Do you know who our father is?" I checked my watch. Right on cue, my father's Mercedes pulled up to the curb. He burst through the bank's doors, face red with rage. "Call Sterling," I heard him bark at Presley. "Now." My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Steele. "They just tried to access your medical records. Hospital denied them. Your new medical POA is officially in effect. I showed Tessa the message. She grinned. God, I love watching rich people melt down. Just wait, I said, forwarding her email. Read this. Her eyes widened. The realtor pulled out of the condo sale and reported them for attempted fraud? Amazing what happens when you inform people they're participating in an illegal transaction. Through the bank's windows, I could see Sterling had arrived, his usual polished demeanor cracking as Marcus showed him something on his computer screen. Probably the document Sandra had filed that morning. Time for phase 2? Tessa asked. I nodded, pulling out my phone. With one tap, I sent the mass email I'd prepared. Every country club member, business associate, and family friend would now receive detailed documentation of my family's attempted financial hijacking, including proof of Sterling's backroom dealings. My father's phone rang first. I watched him answer it, his face going from red to white as he listened. Then Presley's phone started buzzing, and Sterling's. They're going to come looking for you, Tessa warned. No, they won't. I stood up, gathering my things. Because I'm not going to be here. Right on cue, Dr. Steele's car pulled up behind the coffee shop. I'd already moved most of my remaining belongings to a new apartment, one purchased under an LLC Tessa had helped me set up. My phone exploded with notifications. Presley was first. What have you done? Answer your phone right now. You're destroying this family. Then my mother, please, darling, let's talk about this. Your father is having chest pains. Think about what you're doing to us. I blocked their numbers one by one. Look, Tessa pointed through the window. The bank's security was escorting my family out. Presley was crying. Real tears this time, not the performative ones she'd perfected over the years. Should we go? Tessa asked. One more minute. I waited until my father looked up, his eyes scanning the street. When he spotted me in the coffee shop window, I raised my cup in a mock toast. His face contorted with fury. He started toward the coffee shop, but Sterling grabbed his arm, shaking his head urgently. I could read Sterling's lips. Not here, not in public. I turned to leave, but not before seeing Presley sink onto a bench, her perfect makeup streaking as she sobbed into her hands. For a moment, just a moment, I felt a twinge of something. Not quite regret. Maybe nostalgia for the sister she could have been. Ms. Hopkins? The coffee shop manager approached nervously. There are some people outside asking about you. I was just leaving. I smiled, handing him an envelope. For your staff's trouble today. Dr. Steele was waiting at his car. Ready? Almost. I took one last look through the window. My father was on his phone, probably trying to damage control with his business partners. My mother had arrived, hovering helplessly between him and Presley. Sterling was gone, probably racing back to his office to hide evidence. They're going to lose everything, Tessa said quietly. No. I slid into Dr. Steele's car. They're going to lose what they valued most, their reputation, their social standing, their illusion of control. They get to keep just enough to remember what they threw away. As we pulled away, I caught a final glimpse of Presley in the rearview mirror. She was staring after us, mascara streaking down her face, looking lost in a way I'd never seen before. You know they'll try to spin this, Dr. Steele warned. Make you look unstable, ungrateful. Let them try. I settled back in my seat, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. I have something they don't. What's that? The truth, and nothing hurts worse than that. Joanna's house was neutral territory, or so they thought. I'd chosen it carefully, knowing my family would feel safe here, among the expensive art and antique furniture. They'd never suspect their old friend had already seen all my evidence and chosen her side. They're here, Tessa texted from her watching position across the street. I sat in Joanna's living room, perfectly positioned so the afternoon sun highlighted the fading scars on my face. Dr. Steele stood by the window, while Sandra Martinez arranged her documents on the coffee table. The doorbell rang. Ready? Joanna asked me quietly. I've been ready my whole life. They filed in like a funeral procession. My father first, then my mother, then Presley. Sterling slunk in last, looking significantly less polished than usual. Evangeline, my mother started, reaching for me. Sit down, I said coldly. All of you. They sat. Even my father, though his jaw clenched at being commanded. You've gone too far, he growled. Do you have any idea what you've done to this family's reputation? Funny, I smiled. That's exactly what I wanted to discuss. Sandra opened her briefcase. I have here documented evidence of attempted financial fraud, medical coercion, and conspiracy to commit theft. Now, see here. Sterling interrupted, but Sandra spoke over him. I also have proof of Mr. Sterling's attempt to leverage this situation for business gains, including recorded conversations about using the power of attorney to force a merger. Sterling went pale. My father turned to him slowly. What conversations? The same ones where you discussed liquidating my assets to fund your failing investment portfolio, I added. Dad, did you really think I wouldn't find out about the margin calls? My mother gasped. Presley looked between them, confusion breaking through her perfect mask. What margin calls? She demanded. Dad? It's not what you think, he started, but I cut him off. It's exactly what she thinks. You're broke, or you would have been if you hadn't tried to steal my money. We were trying to protect you, my mother cried. No, Joanna spoke up from the doorway. You were trying to protect yourselves. I've seen the documents, Teresa. What you did, it's unconscionable. My mother's face crumpled. Joanna, please. I've already resigned from the hospital board, Joanna continued. I can't be associated with this. Presley stood up suddenly. This is ridiculous. We're your family. Family? I laughed. Let's talk about family, Presley. Let's talk about every time you sabotaged me because you couldn't stand anyone paying attention to me instead of you. Let's talk about how you convinced Mom and Dad I was unstable after my accident so you could finally take everything you thought I didn't deserve. That's not... I have the recordings, I cut in, of you on the phone the night I signed the papers, plotting how to sell my business, my home, everything I built. Silence fell. Heavy, suffocating silence. Gerald, my mother whispered, what did we do? What we had to do, he snapped. And we'd do it again. Actually, Sandra interjected, you won't, because if any of you come near my client again, these documents go to the district attorney. You're bluffing, Sterling said, but his voice shook. I stood up, walking to the window where Dr. Steele stood. Try me. Test how much evidence I've gathered. See what happens to what's left of your reputation. You ungrateful little... My father started to rise, but Joanna's voice cracked like a whip. Get out of my house. They stared at her. She'd been their friend for 30 years. Joanna, my mother pleaded. Out, all of you. I never want to see any of you again. One by one, they stood. My father stormed out first, followed by Sterling. My mother lingered, tears streaming down her face. Evie, please. Goodbye, Mom. Presley was last. She stopped at the door, turned back. For a moment, I saw something in her eyes. Regret, maybe. Or just the realization that she'd finally pushed too far. I hope it was worth it, she said quietly. It was. I didn't look away. Every single second. After they left, Joanna poured drinks with shaking hands. Well, that's 20 years of friendship down the drain. I'm sorry, I started, but she waved me off. Don't be. Some things matter more than friendship, like justice. Dr. Steele touched my shoulder gently. How do you feel? I looked around the room, at Sandra packing up her documents, at Tessa coming in from her watch position, at Joanna raising her glass in a silent toast. I searched for the right word. Free. The sun was setting outside, painting the room in shades of gold and shadow. Somewhere across town, my family was realizing their carefully constructed world was crumbling. But here, in this moment, I was finally, completely myself. And that was worth everything. The dominoes fell faster than even I expected. 1 week after the confrontation at Joanna's house, I sat in my new apartment watching it all unravel on my laptop screen. Breaking news, the local business report announced. Prominent executive Gerald Hopkins steps down amid fraud allegations. My phone buzzed. Tessa had sent a link to a society blog. Country club scandal. Power of attorney abuse rocks elite family. Another message popped up. This one from Dr. Steele. Your sister's at the hospital. She had a breakdown at work. I clicked the link he attached. There was Presley, being escorted out of her office building, mascara running down her face as she screamed at someone off camera. The headline read, "Financial Director Terminated After Discovery of Embezzlement." "Did you know?" I texted back. "About the embezzlement? No, but it explains why she was so desperate for your money." My doorbell rang. It was Sandra, carrying a thick folder. "You've been busy," she said, settling onto my couch. "Your father's company board is calling for a full audit." "What about Sterling?" "Disbarred, most likely. The Bar Association takes a dim view of lawyers who conspire to defraud their clients." She smiled grimly. "He's already turned on your father, trying to save himself." My phone buzzed again. A number I didn't recognize. "Hello? Evangeline?" It was Joanna. "You need to know. Your mother's been calling everyone, trying to do damage control. She's not well." "What do you mean?" "She had a meltdown at the charity board meeting, started screaming about ungrateful children and family loyalty. They had to escort her out." I closed my eyes. "Thank you for telling me." "There's more," Joanna continued. "Your father, he's been calling in favors, trying to freeze people out of business deals if they support you. But it's backfiring. No one wants to be associated with him now." After hanging up, I opened my laptop again. My email was flooded with messages from former family friends, business associates, even distant relatives. Some expressed shock. Others shared their own stories of my family's manipulation. Sandra pointed to one sender. "That's interesting. Your father's biggest investor wants to meet." "For what?" "To offer you a position. Apparently they're impressed by how you handled this situation." My phone buzzed yet again. This time it was Presley. "Please," her text read. "I need help. They're investigating my accounts. I could go to jail." I showed Sandra the message. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "I'm thinking karma's finally caught up with them." I blocked Presley's number. Let them face the consequences of their own actions. A notification popped up on my laptop, a video call from Tessa. Her face appeared excited. "Turn on Channel 7 right now." I did. There was my father, trying to push through a crowd of reporters outside his office building. "Mr. Hopkins, what do you say to allegations that you attempted to defraud your own daughter?" "Mr. Hopkins, is it true your company is under investigation?" "No comment," he shouted, his face purple with rage. As he shoved past them, he stumbled, nearly falling. The cameras caught everything. "They're calling it the fall of the Hopkins dynasty," Tessa said gleefully. Sandra's phone chimed. She read the message, eyebrows raising. "Your mother's been admitted to a private facility for exhaustion," she reported. "And Presley, the police just arrived at her apartment." I should have felt something. Satisfaction, maybe, or sadness. Instead, I felt oddly empty. Was it worth it? Dr. Steele had asked me that morning. Burning everything down? I'd thought about my childhood, about all the times I'd dimmed my light to make Presley shine, about my father's constant criticism disguised as concern, about my mother's passive enabling of it all. Some things need to burn, I'd told him. Now, watching my family's carefully constructed world collapse, I realized something important. I wasn't their victim anymore. I wasn't their puppet or their piggy bank or their backup plan. I was just me, Evangeline, survivor, victor. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from my father. "You've destroyed this family. I hope you're happy." I typed back a single line. "No, Dad, you destroyed it yourselves. I just stopped playing along." Then I blocked his number too. Sandra gathered her papers. Ready for the next phase? I looked around my new apartment, smaller than my old condo, but mine, really mine. On the wall hung a single photo, me at my business opening, before the accident, smiling with genuine joy. "Yes," I said, "I'm ready." Because sometimes the only way to build something new is to let the old burn to ashes first. And from these ashes, I would rise, alone, but finally completely free. The morning sun streamed through my office windows as I reviewed the final settlement papers. My new business was smaller than the old one, but it was thriving, built on my terms, with my rules. "These are the last ones," Sandra said, sliding the documents across my desk. "Once you sign, it's officially over." The papers detailed the complete separation from my family's assets, the dissolution of any remaining legal ties, and my formal statement declining to press criminal charges against Presley for the embezzlement. "You're sure about this?" Sandra asked. "You could pursue the charges." No one would blame you. She's lost everything already, I said, signing the papers. Let the company handle their own prosecution. My phone lit up with a text from Tessa. Turn on the news. The television mounted on my wall showed my father leaving a courthouse, looking aged and defeated. The ticker beneath read, Hopkins Enterprises CEO steps down permanently amid investigation. He'll never recover from this, Sandra observed. Neither will any of them. I turned off the TV. Did you see the society pages? Mother's recovery facility is actually a rehab center. Apparently she's been self-medicating for years. And Presley? Living with an aunt in Arizona, working as a receptionist. I smiled slightly. Finally earning her own way. A knock at my door interrupted us. Dr. Steele entered, followed by Amir, no longer just my doctor, but something more. Something slowly building between us over coffee dates and long conversations. Ready for lunch? He asked. Almost. I gathered my things, then paused at a new frame on my wall, a newspaper article about my company's successful restructuring, alongside a photo of me at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for my new office. You never told me, Amir said quietly. What made you finally fight back? What was the moment you decided enough was enough? I touched the fading scar on my forehead. It wasn't the accident, or even them trying to take everything. Then what? It was realizing I'd spent my whole life making myself smaller to fit their narrative. The accident just gave me clarity, showed me I could either let them finish destroying me, or I could finally stand up and be myself. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Arizona. Aren't you going to answer it? Tessa asked, appearing in the doorway. No, I declined the call. Presley needs to learn that actions have consequences. Some bridges stay burned. Speaking of consequences, Sandra interjected, Joanna called. The country club board voted this morning. Your parents' membership has been permanently revoked. I shouldered my bag, ready to leave for lunch. You know what's funny? They always worried about losing their social status, their reputation. In trying to control me, they lost everything they were trying to protect. And what about you? Amir asked. What did you lose? I looked around at the people in my office. My lawyer who'd become a friend, my doctor who'd become more, my best friend who'd never wavered, even Joanna, who'd chosen truth over decades of social ties. I lost a family that never really loved me, I said, and gained one that does. We headed out together, the settlement papers safely filed away. As we walked through the lobby, I caught my reflection in the glass doors, standing tall, no cane, no pretense of weakness. You know they'll try again someday, Tessa warned. Try to reconnect, try to explain, try to rewrite history. Let them try. I pushed through the doors into the sunlight. I'm not playing their game anymore. Amir took my hand as we walked to the restaurant. So what's next? Living, I said simply, on my terms, in my way. Because that's the thing about family. Sometimes the one you choose is stronger than the one you're born into. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't surviving the betrayal, but accepting that you deserve better. And sometimes the happy ending isn't about forgiveness or reconciliation. Sometimes it's about walking away and building something new from the ashes of what was destroyed. As we sat down to lunch, my phone buzzed one final time. A message from an unknown number. I'm sorry. P. I deleted it without responding. Some chapters need to stay closed. To new beginnings. Tessa raised her glass. No, I corrected her, looking at the family I'd chosen, the life I'd rebuilt, the strength I'd found, to being exactly who we are. Because in the end, that's the greatest revenge. Not just surviving, but thriving. Not just escaping, but building something better. And I had built something better. Something true. Something mine. That was worth everything I'd lost, and more than my family had ever given me. That was worth it all.